She stood in a hotel room in Las Vegas, 6 years old, completely silent, staring at a man in a mink coat and sunglasses. Nobody told her who he was. She didn't need to be told. And decades later, that single moment would connect her to some of the biggest hits of her entire career in a way almost nobody realized until years after both of them were gone. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how deep that connection went and why it's still surprising people today. Let's go back to where it all started. On July 31st, 1969, Elvis Presley stepped onto the stage of the International Hotel in Las Vegas. He had spent the last decade trapped in Hollywood movie contracts, away from the raw energy of live audiences. This comeback was designed to reclaim his throne, and the production was massive. Elvis assembled a relentless rock band featuring guitarist James Burton, a 40-piece orchestra, and a wall of backing vocalists. He wanted a sound that was modern, powerful, and deeply soulful. To anchor that new sound, he hired a rising, gospel-infused R&B quartet called the Sweet Inspirations. Led by their founder and lead soprano, Emily "Sissy" Houston, the group was far from a decorative background element. They were a driving force of the show, delivering the intense church house harmonies that Elvis loved. Sissy's soaring operatic runs became a signature part of the performance, most notably on Are You Lonesome Tonight? By putting Sissy Houston on that stage, Elvis did more than reshape his own musical legacy. He placed Whitney Houston's mother at the very center of his world during one of the most historic moments in music. This single hiring decision created the gravity that would pull a young Whitney directly into the path of the king. Behind the scenes, Sissy Houston found a warm, deeply personal environment. She later recalled that working with Elvis was wonderful, describing him as a true gentleman who completely defied the wild expectations of the press. Between grueling rehearsals, Elvis would gather the singers to do what he loved most: harmonize on old gospel songs. This shared bond created a tight musical chemistry that was put to the test for 4 straight weeks, with 2 performances every single night, starting on July 31st, 1969. The ultimate proof of this on-stage connection is captured in a famous recording from the August 26th midnight show. During a performance of Are You Lonesome Tonight?, Elvis began to playfully improvise, breaking into an uncontrollable fit of laughter. As the king lost his composure, Sissy didn't miss a beat. Her soaring soprano vocals remained flawless, holding the melody together while Elvis laughed through the lyrics. It remains one of the most famous live moments in music history, a documented, archival record of Sissy's professionalism and their shared stage history. But while Sissy stood under the Vegas lights, the road that brought her group to this stage was paved with high-stakes industry friction and intense negotiations. The Sweet Inspirations were Elvis's perfect vocal anchor, but they were not actually his first choice, setting off a backstage payroll battle that changed music history. Sissy Houston's presence in Las Vegas brought her niece, Dionne Warwick, directly into the king's orbit. During the 1969 rehearsals, Warwick met Elvis backstage, an encounter that left a permanent impression. She would later recall in her memoir that he was one of the prettiest men she had ever seen. When Elvis playfully asked if she meant handsome, she replied, "No, pretty." Elvis took an immediate interest in supporting her career. He visited local record shops throughout Las Vegas, arranging to have a signed photograph of himself tucked inside every copy of Warwick's latest album. He then took the stage at the International Hotel to promote the record himself, telling audiences they would get his photo with her LP. The marketing stunt caused her record sales to spike across the city. But while Elvis welcomed this family network with open arms, the business arrangements behind his comeback were far more calculated, returning to the question of whether the Sweet Inspirations were truly his first choice. Elvis Presley did not originally plan on hiring Cissy Houston and the Sweet Inspirations for his 1969 Las Vegas return. His first choice was another powerhouse vocal group, the Blossoms, led by Darlene Love. Elvis had bonded deeply with Darlene and her group during his 1968 TV comeback special. Together, they had recorded the intense gospel medley, a session where Darlene remembered singing gospel with Elvis felt like being with close friends. That artistic chemistry was so strong that Elvis brought Darlene back to sing with him for his 1969 film Change of Habit. When the Vegas residency began taking shape, Elvis wanted the Blossoms on that stage. But negotiations quickly stalled over the business side of the music industry. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's tight-fisted manager, authorized an offer of $1,500 a week for the group to back Elvis in Vegas. For the Blossoms, this was actually a massive pay cut. As the premier studio backing group on the West Coast, they were already earning up to $5,000 a week doing session work in Los Angeles. Parker, accustomed to getting his way, refused to budge, keeping the $1,500 offer firm on the table. Darlene Love faced an agonizing choice. Turning down the king of rock and roll was a massive risk, and she later recalled it was one of the hardest decisions she ever had to make. But she refused to undervalue her group's worth. When the Blossoms formally declined the offer, Colonel Parker had to look elsewhere, turning to hire the Sweet Inspirations instead. This single financial dispute set off the exact chain of events that would put Cissy Houston on that Vegas stage and place her young daughter, Whitney, directly in Elvis's path. In 1992, Whitney Houston released the Bodyguard soundtrack, an album that became the best-selling soundtrack of all time. At the heart of this cultural phenomenon was the song I Have Nothing, a soaring, Oscar-nominated ballad of desperation and devotion. While the track is forever defined by Whitney's powerhouse vocals, its emotional core belongs to another woman who lived in the king's shadow. The song's co-writer, Linda Thompson, spent over 4 years in a high-profile relationship with Elvis Presley during the mid-1970s. Thompson later revealed that the lyrics she penned for the track were drawn directly from her real life with Elvis, capturing the exhausting, consuming nature of loving a larger-than-life icon. Though the words were lightly reshaped to fit Whitney's fictional movie character, the raw heartbreak of Elvis's private world became the exact foundation for Whitney's career-defining hit. Dolly Parton wrote I Will Always Love You in 1973, long before it became a global sensation. In the mid-1970s, Elvis Presley heard the track and decided he wanted to record it. He was deeply moved by the song, but his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, stepped in with a standard, rigid demand. Parker insisted that Dolly surrender 50% of the publishing rights before Elvis could ever lay down a vocal track. Knowing the value of her music, Dolly refused to sign the contract. The collaboration was instantly dead, leaving Elvis's version of the song forever unrecorded. Nearly 20 years later, that exact ballad was presented to Whitney Houston for The Bodyguard. She took the country song and transformed it into a towering anthem, turning Elvis's missed opportunity into her own definitive, history-making masterpiece. The music industry often feels like a series of random coincidences, but these hidden threads prove otherwise. The voices that define generations didn't just coexist, they actively shaped one another in the shadows. Subscribe to join us as we uncover more of music's greatest untold stories.